Having some problem studying? Here's some tips on how to stay ahead of the game. First, do not put your studying off until nighttime. Try to do majority of your studying right after your classes. Second, make a list of subjects that you have to study and keep them organized. This way, you do not get easily distracted. Third, make flashcards so that you are memorizing material, even if your test is multiple choice. This will help you not second guess yourself. Lastly, go over notes more than once. Drilling information over and over works like muscle memory. You're welcome.
So we're here with Professor Eshelman, an English teacher, and I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. You could just give your answer to your fullest extent. So, please describe to us good study habits.
Good study habits. Well, one thing I always tell my students is to get a calendar for starters, a planner, and write down their due dates so they can see like when everything is due and they can manage their time so that every day they're working towards a little goal. Because I think the cliche is true that the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So if you wait till the last minute and try to do a huge amount of work, it's going to be poor quality, it's going to be rushed, you're going to forget it, you're going to be stressed, you're going to fall asleep while you're doing whatever. So if you do a little bit every day, I think that makes you remember it, makes the quality better. I mean, that's how I do my job, even though it's not studying that I'm doing. I set goals for myself to accomplish certain things every day. Also, I think because studying requires reading, I think finding a place where you can read where you aren't distracted, where you won't fall asleep, is a good plan. Putting away the phone for a while is a good plan, even for adults, or non-students, I shouldn't say adults, because it's so hard to focus and really remember things when you're studying if you're constantly reading one thing and then looking at your phone, reading one thing, looking at your phone. So I would say like put the phone in a different room for however long you need to focus, because it's just really hard to really remember details when you're multitasking.
Please give us the top 3 study habits you used while you were in school.
Top 3 study habits when I was in school. So I mentioned before finding a quiet place. I learned pretty quickly that if I stayed in my apartment with my roommates, that it would be very hard for me to focus. So I often would leave if they were there and go to the library. When I was in graduate school, I actually rented what's called a study carrel. You can pay money to rent a little room that's yours for a whole semester, and I would always go there because nobody could find me. And so finding a place that's quiet, turning off the phone, and also making a to-do list of like I said before. Also, when I read, I try to take notes. That's really, really, even still, when I'm reading something, I take notes in the margin or even on another piece of paper so that I can process what I've read and I can summarize it. If you can summarize and process it, you'll remember it. So those are probably, was that 3?
That was 2.
Okay, that was 2. Top 3 things I did. I think another thing I did and still do is sometimes when I read, even though I love to read, I can get really sleepy. So I found ways to make myself stay awake. Sometimes that's playing music. A lot of times that's eating something, because there's been lots of studies that show that if you're like actually chewing on something, your brain wakes up. So I would chew gum. I would get a sucker and suck on it if I felt like I couldn't focus or if I were sleepy. Carrot sticks, that kind of thing would kind of wake me up and help me focus better. So that. I still do that, so that worked. Is that 3?
Yes, that was 3.
Okay.
Thank you so much for this interview. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anything to help.
Another study method that helps me is basically memorization. Find it very helpful for me to look at what I'm trying to look at what I'm trying to memorize a couple times, try to remember it. I come back 10-15 minutes later and try to play a game with myself to see if I basically remember what I was studying.
Asking questions is key to your success in a classroom setting. The more you ask, the better your understanding is. as well as knowing the purpose of your assignments will help you better understand the subject that is being taught.
We're here interviewing the director of the Writing Center, Miss Patterson. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
We're doing all right. We just have a couple questions. So what would be your top 3 study habits for students?
My top 3 study habits would be to manage your time, take good notes, and use your resources.
Cool. Also, what are some of the study tools you use throughout your collegiate career?
I think I use mostly probably just paper and pen. I like to handwrite all my notes, so I didn't use any online tools. I just took a lot of notes. Paper and pen, old-fashioned.
Alrighty. Thank you for the interview.
You're welcome. Thank
Bye.
you for coming by.
Other study skills that can help are taking good notes. Taking good notes is imperative, and you need to make sure that you have them well organized and structured for when you go back to read them. It also helps to rewrite your notes at different times so that you can make sure you retain the information. Keeping a well-organized notebook for each class is another way to improve your study habits and skills.
Hello, you guys. There are a lot of great studying habits out there that you can exercise in your learning in school. Yes, those things are all fine and dandy and it will help you learn, but the key to these things is repetition. Repetition is the mother of all learning, and you do this by being disciplined to your study habits. Set up a schedule and you stick to that schedule, and it will help you prosper in getting good grades.